All right, so it looks like we are live for the weekly Wednesday checkup on niche websites, side hustles. This is me dropping all of the keywords for advertising in the first 30 seconds of this video for the YouTube algorithm. So I'm just checking really quick to make sure that things are up on YouTube. If you are here already, and I don't see that there are too many people hopped on yet, but if you are seeing this, please let me know if you can hear me and see me and if everything is working out all right. I see Jana and I see Chris. I say, what is up? Thanks for dropping on for our weekly Wednesday update and report and all of the things. Hey, Jay, what is going on? So I got to tell you, today I was not that fired up about logging on to do my live stream today because last week's live stream, somebody filed within YouTube a legal complaint against it and got it pulled down. And I honestly don't know for sure what specifically was bad about that stream, which warranted a legal complaint. As I was doing some search about YouTube legal complaints against videos, it talked a lot about defamation and also about violation of privacy. And so I'm wondering if somebody, because I really just talk to people, right? I'm just wondering if somebody said something in the chat and they they felt maybe bad about it, or they put some information in there that they didn't, that they regretted and couldn't get that down. And so they used that tool to be able to try and get the video pulled down. And it just really bummed me out. One, because there's somebody who was on the stream who participated, who, is like looking at the work that we're doing and thought that that was a way to resolve the problem, or two, actually hurt somebody without meaning to. And that person is upset at me for whatever reason. But then you just go through all of this work and then have that content just go away. And it just sort of took the wind out of my sails a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, but here I'm back on Wednesday again, drinking coffee and doing my best. I see Sushi dropping on. Hey, what's going on? So yeah, that's my rant. If you are here, please hit the thumbs up button. That will hopefully help YouTube push out the notifications to get some people on, see who wants to catch up and the rest. As always, Chris says, now I'm trying to think about what we talked about last week. Last week, we talked about, I wanted to say the things that were holding us back, like what's holding you back. And so I talked a little bit about what's holding me back, and other people shared what was holding them back. And there may have been some arguing in the chat. I don't know. I lost track of the chat somewhere in the middle because there was a lot of talk over there, which is awesome. But I don't know. I don't like it. That, or there's somebody out there who really doesn't like me, who is going to use and abuse my YouTube channel as a way to strike back at me because they just don't like me. And I guess looking at the performance of my most recent video about podcasting, maybe those folks are out there. That one has a like percentage of only 57%. So either the video is terrible, or people who follow this channel just really hate the fact that I created content about podcasting, which I'm going to continue to do. So folks are just going to have to deal with it. I am going to make content around all the things that I'm working on. And if you don't like it, just don't watch the video. It's okay. Hey, Renat, what's going on? So other things on the agenda today, I wanted to point out that Morten Storgard, who we also know as the Passive Income Geek, who has been on this channel before, and I've been over there, does have his his first, I think, solo live stream scheduled for Friday, I think at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So if you are interested in checking out Morten's live and having access to him, ask him questions, or just to support him as he starts going live more regularly, just put that on your calendar for Friday. Again, I saw the thumbnail go out, but I just love the idea of supporting him as he makes a transition. Just really helps this community by making people who have a lot of knowledge more available. I'm saying hey to Laura, what's going on? Jesse says, I'm more worried about third-party cookies than AI content at the moment. That is maybe the subject of a future stream. I just was thinking, the reason that I have this up as one of my, is what I wanted to talk about today, was because it was on my mind, because I saw that John Dykstra had email. By the way, if you're not on John's Fat Stacks email, it's great. But he had sent out an email in the last couple of days, or maybe I just read it in the last couple of days, about the future of artificially intelligent generated content and the implications for folks, because it made me start to think about whether or not I should make any plans for the future as John is doing, and whether or not that would change the business model. And I thought we could talk about it, and people in the comments could chat about it and the rest. I'm looking over to see who's jumping on. I see Alex from WP Eagle jumping on. Hey, what's going on? And his point is they will come up with another solution for tracking without using cookies. I think it's going to happen. There's just too much data out there. And Jesse says he saw John's email. And then Pete is talking. So folks in the chat are talking about the third-party tracking cookies. One more sort of to do an administratively thing, and then I want to go ahead and start this chat for folks who want to hang out. But I wanted to mention that I got a notification from Ezoic that they are looking ahead to doing offering the Ezoic Just Start program again, and they're going to offer it to this community as one of the first groups that get access to the link. I don't have a date just yet, but I know that there are several folks out there who have reached out to me one-on-one who say they really want to get access to it because they don't have a site that has enough traffic to be able to get it. And so I just wanted to put that out there for folks that are interested in doing that. What I plan to do to release that, to give people who are in this community the first shot at it, is I'm going to send it actually to my email list first. So people who are on my Substack newsletter are going to get the first notification. So if you are really interested in getting sort of the initial upfront access to be able to sign up, I mean, I can't guarantee that people will get accepted into the program, but I am going to blast it to my email newsletter first, and then I will post it here on YouTube, just because I can control more significantly who gets access to it through the newsletter. And then on YouTube, I mean, it just blasts out, and then whoever's around can get it. So again, if that's something that you are interested in getting access to, it's like to increase the chances of getting in, subscribe to the newsletter. The link is below. I'm going to check the comments real quick to see if there's anything exciting over there. And Alberto's talking about celebrities. I know, right? I feel really good when he jumps in and graces us with his presence and with his knowledge. So Alex, if you are still here, feel free to drop any knowledge that you have on us. Like just drop the gold. That's fine. Oh, so let's talk about AI, the artificially, like, I think I need more coffee, the artificial intelligence. So people are in the process of, and I think are already utilizing these content generators. I mean, we've seen them in the past in the form of content spinners. So you could create lots of different kinds of content by putting in just some base keywords and then just letting the spinner do its thing. We say, okay, let's say we have artificial intelligence that's actually creating somewhat decent content without the aim or the goal of just gaming SEO, which has definitely gotten more sophisticated since the spinners were really, I think, that popular or working that well. We say, okay, well, let's say that people are using these content generators. And the first thing that strikes me is that this content, this information has to come from somewhere, right? So it's not like this information, these content generators are just going out into the world and doing experiments to come up with data. For a content generator to work, that information has to be mined from somewhere. So most likely, if you have a SaaS product that is a content generator, it is mining the information from somewhere. It seems to me that that has to be how it works, right? That's going to be part of it. And so it just makes me wonder if what we're going to be seeing as a way to combat this is copyright infringement. So people being more aggressive about seeing maybe their unique information. For example, people who do quizzes to create or to generate a unique data so that they can post them on their websites. If you see that data popping up elsewhere, you know that these content generators are thieving it and stealing it and utilizing it. And so I see that potentially for folks from the lawyer side of me saying, okay, that could potentially be a niche in the future for people to fill. Say, okay, your content is being stolen by somebody who's utilizing a content generator. And so people looking more carefully to to protect their content from being generated. And I also wonder if there's also going to be more tools out there that people will want to be using to block these content generators from crawling their sites to gather this information. Because again, I don't necessarily know how these products work, right? But I do know that information isn't created in a vacuum, and it has to come from somewhere. And so there has to be some sort of method or methodology for that content to come in. And so looking forward, that's one of the things I wonder about and see is if people will be more aggressive about defending their unique hard work that they have gone out of their way to create. Um, and so for folks that are looking ahead at emerging markets or niches, I mean, definitely looking at jumping on the bandwagon to create SaaS products that generate content automatically, but also SaaS products that defend against their content being used and stolen for the purpose of AI generated content. So that's one of the first things I thought of. And I'm saying hi to Mike, and I'm saying hi to Jesse, and who I've already said hi to. And I saw Sushi. She said that she added likes on my podcast interview to raise my ratio. Thank you very much. So that was one of the first things I thought. But the other thing that occurred to me about content generation products out there is that I think it will raise the bar overall, probably on the low end, as far as the basic type of content that you can get out there to rank. I think it's likely that these content generators will be working within the parameters of what the author thinks of as to be the best SEO practices. So if you use a content generator in conjunction with an SEO sort of product like Surfer or the rest, that you will have this basic, like the basic bottom level of what content can be created out there, I think is going to raise up. And what that makes me think of is that that it will be harder for folks who are just getting started, like brand new folks who are new to the market. It will be harder for them to compete initially because they won't necessarily have the money to invest in high quality content. And it will just take longer for folks to get started. But perhaps what that will do is make the demand higher for established websites that already have some traction, because folks who just want to get started, you can, if you want to, get started by buying a domain and then just starting out from scratch, starting with one blog post, two blog posts, and then go on. But maybe the habit and practice will become more of a people buying in sort of thing. So buying an established website that already has traction versus starting from scratch, because it will be harder for folks to start from scratch and compete with the folks that are already out there who are generating content. I'm going to go to the chat because I've been talking just myself. Laura says she's not worried yet. My main trade is in translation. Been hearing for at least 5 years that translation bots will make us redundant, but so far no bot comes anywhere close to human quality. And so we say, oh, is the future of AI, is that tomorrow? I don't think that it is tomorrow, but then in 2 years or 3 years or 5 years, maybe it will become more of a reality. Let's see, scanning on. It's an engineering problem. Oh, so we're talking about ads and the rest. Janice says, I agree with Laura about machine translation. Am I the only one who's that interested in this? I think it's totally fascinating. Oh my goodness, that thing totally. Renat says, but most human writers are not doing the same. They read a bunch of other blogs for research and then make their own article based on that information. That is true. That is very true. And so over time, though, I wonder if those types of blogs as well that are not adding any sort of unique flair or spin or doing any sort of research on their own will also struggle to really do well, especially as the machines come in and basically do the same thing. And that's where you think where people are really focusing on what is unique about them and their experience and their personal understanding of maybe the product or the service or the topic is going to really make or break what counts as, I'm going to put up my air quotes, good content. And then you wonder how this will play out as far as what the folks at the Google, the people who are pulling the levers, will work towards in the algorithm as far as rewarding and pushing people up or down in the ranks as we work towards what counts as good content. I just find the whole thing fascinating. I can't help myself. What else did I write down? Um, if AI and the content generators like really look like they were coming on and they were going to actually work well, I wonder if it would push people out to say, you know what, I'm not interested in working that hard for content anymore. And I would rather just try to sell before this thing became a thing, any sort of uncertainty and trying to push out their websites onto folks that are maybe on the investment side who aren't necessarily paying attention or that closely to the evolution in technology. There's a lot of folks who just see the dollars, right? They just see the amounts. And so it could potentially be a risky spot for folks who are looking to jump in buying a content site if they're not necessarily keeping an eye on what is happening as far as the development and technology. Jesse says, AI content has been a concern for a while now. He doesn't see it as an immediate threat, but there's always something on the horizon to worry about. And that is true about just about anything. I mean, it is a matter of time we say, that is the question, right? Will AI generated content be better than human written content? I don't know. I don't know. That is a great question. And that is maybe one of the unknowns that we can't see. I mean, I have to assume that the answer is probably it will be better than some content, but maybe not all. And maybe for the folks who are focusing on, building their keyword research skills and creating content, maybe it will push folks who are doing websites into YouTube or into other types of money-making strategies online that could benefit from the skills that you already have. Mike says, 15 years ago, we were spinning articles and it worked then. Google is smart. Will they know if it is AI? I think it's something, and you say, okay, well, should it be penalized? I mean, should it? Spinning articles was about taking advantage of SEO, sometimes in a very bad way, right? Just creating content that would get the visitor there, even if the content was terrible. And so would it be different if the content was AI generated and was good? And why would Google penalize that? I mean, why would Google be upset if the content was not illegal, was not stolen, was as unique as it could possibly be, and was good? I don't know. There's Carl jumping on. Hey, making dinner for the family. You're always making tea like right now. I guess I'm looking at the time. I can't help it. I always hit you when you were taking care of your family, which is awesome. But will Google know that it is AI? And I don't know. I have no idea to tell. That is a great question, and I don't know. But the last thing I have on my notes, because this is just what I was talking about, was, whenever things get unsettled or people start, worrying about things, it always makes me think about my own personal strategy about creating multiple income streams, just so I can be ready for anything. And you say, okay, well, AI is probably years off, right? I mean, we're still years away. And for me, that's it. It tells me, okay, well, I just need to keep doing what I am doing so that if something happens where I can't compete anymore with the machines, then I should be good otherwise, right? I mean, theoretically. Anyway, that is what I wanted to talk about. And the chat is pretty quiet on this topic. So I feel like I just ranted about AI for close to 20 minutes and everybody's like, yeah, sure, it's cool. What ups? Chris says, I have a feeling that Carl is a chef extraordinaire. It seems like Carl is probably good at just about anything he tries, and he's not even here to defend himself. So all right. So folks, now I want to get on to what we usually do, which is just talk about how our weeks went and what we were able to accomplish. I have been working on some new projects, and I admit to shiny object syndrome in the past couple of weeks, but I'm excited about it. And, frankly, as long as I'm excited about it. And that's all I need. It's just something that brings me back to the computer. I did mention already that I felt kicked in the teeth by YouTube, but again, I'm just coming back and working myself. I see folks chatting in the comments. Mike's talking about evolution, and we will have to evolve. And I think paying attention is pretty much what we need to do. That is the call to action from this live stream, is just for folks to pay attention. Jesse says, "Hey, Chris, are you doing an income report for last month?" Oh, and I will point out that Chris did put out a video about blogger insurance, and that is not something that many of us really talk about at all. And props to Chris for actually creating some content around that. What I have not seen so far in the chat today is anybody who is posting about what went on for them in the last week. I will notice that Alexandra, who posted a couple of weeks ago that she was going to get started, she was going to take her domain and then actually post an article on it. If you're in the chat today and you are watching, Alexandra, or you catch this on the replay, please let us know. Did you get started? And if so, what did you do and how did you do and how do you feel about it? Laura says, oh, the AI. It says, it is interesting, but after John's email, a panic started on the FatStacks forums. I don't think that's quite needed yet. I agree. I don't think that panic is warranted at all. I mean, John is always looking ahead, and he's like 100 steps ahead of the rest of us. His recent income claim is the wrong word. I saw in a recent interview that he did that he earned $71,000 or 70-some thousand, excluding FatStacks, recently, and it's just mind-boggling. So, whatever John is working on, I think a lot of people will just get right behind him and say, I'm going to do everything that you do to just have a chance of earning maybe a fraction, a tenth of what this guy does in a given month would feel pretty darn good. Jana is doing her first live stream next week. I'm really scared and excited. That is really cool. I know we talked about it a little bit, but do you want folks to know about it here to come and support you there? I mean, I know that it's a different niche and all the rest, but if I could, if I knew when it was, I would try to be there if I could. And I am stuck. Stuck is the wrong word. Right now, there's a lot of us who are doing a lot of distance learning at home. So I have the kids at home who are needing help with Google Chromebooks and all the things. But if it is during a time when I can be there, I would love to be there and be happy to support you. So please let us know. Let's see. Chris says he stopped doing his income reports for the whole portfolio. We'll be doing them for the newer sites instead until they reach 1,000 per month. Yeah, I mean, some people get really motivated by the income reports, and some folks are like, yeah. I've always liked income reports, not necessarily for the claims about how much money that they are to be made, but I've always liked going through them to see what affiliate programs people are working in. There are a couple of big dogs who have been around for a long time who have these gigantic income reports where they are literally enrolled in 50, 60, 70 affiliate programs and are making, $100 a month here and $20 a month here, and how they keep track of all of that. But again, it sometimes can introduce you to affiliate programs that maybe you wouldn't have otherwise jumped into. If it's just Amazon, I mean, there's the strategies and stuff is great in those income reports, but the like maybe for more of the SaaS products is maybe it's better, because then you get access or just introduced to SaaS products that you didn't even know existed, and maybe their affiliate programs are really excellent. So you're looking at getting into affiliate programs that are maybe new and growing, or getting around a product that is new and growing, and you could jump on a trend. That can be a really good way to figure out how to get started and avoid the competition. Yeah, he mentioned that he might hit 5K last month. People were super curious about it. Laura said she made an Ezoic account and made me apply to AdX, but I'm not sure if I applied to Ezoic now or not. I didn't submit traffic or info on anything. So are you confused as to where you are in the application process? Because if you, because applying to AdX or to connect up your AdSense account, I mean, that's something that has to be done just about in every case. And so my question is, are you stuck somewhere, or do you need somebody to sort of walk you through where you are? Because if so, let's see. Next question. She said, do you set up all the ad placements before they even look? When is the application part? So you're in it right now. Theoretically, you should already be in the application process if you have integrated. Now, one of the things they're working on right now is streamlining the process so that you know exactly where you are. And so I'm excited that you're in, and I'm bummed that you're not into the new application process, because they are more transparent about where you are and actually have little check boxes. If you're confused, what I'd recommend that you do is just email support and just say, where is this, like, what is the status of my my site being reviewed, and hopefully they will be able to point out what you still need to get done. And that's, I guess, a short way of saying, of asking a lot of questions, and then just saying, if you're not sure where you are, email support, and just hopefully you'll get an answer within 24 hours, just confirming whether your site is being reviewed or not. And then maybe you can get a checklist of the things that you still need to do. And in the future, Azoic is working on making it more clear so that you don't have these problems. This shouldn't happen. You shouldn't be sort of lost in the world of, is my site ready or not? And if I put up ad placements, will they ad show or not? And right now, I think the best way to get that answer is to ask Ezoic, but in the future, it should be more obvious. Jaina is going next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you have 5 subscribers, and I just think that is cool. That's 7 a.m. here. So I won't be able to make it live, sadly, but I will go to your channel, and I'm going to subscribe to it. I'm going to make a note to remind myself. And then I will make sure to catch the replay. I just think it's awesome that you are going to go live, because it is sort of scary and it gets out of control sometimes, and we'll just do our best. Laura says she did integrate with name servers. Well, that's a good start. That's one of the first things they're definitely going to ask you to do. Yeah, I would just email them and ask where you are. Mike, I know you guys love ClickBank. You guys, I think, do really well over there. And I think I put you in the minority, because I don't think that everybody who can jump on ClickBank can just make money hand over fist. But somebody who's got a legit strategy can do it. And I know you guys are doing it. Jesse says, in the spirit of diversification, I'm going to forego Mediavine on my next site and straight to AdThrive. Well, the upside of that is that you happen to have a site that gets enough traffic to be added to AdThrive, and I'm excited to hear how that goes. Why did you decide to go down the affiliate AdSense route instead of something like e-commerce? Thanks. So I did test out e-commerce, and what I discovered is that I didn't want to have to deal with customer service, because I did test it out. I did Shopify for a while, and what I didn't want to deal with was, one, sending products to people who are not that honest or ethical. So people where the product arrives and then they tell you that they didn't get it. So then you're out the money of having purchased the product and send it to them, and then you have to refund them, because you can't honestly prove unless you were there and delivered it yourself. Because what they do when you say, no, you have the product, is then they will go and try to reverse the charge. And so then you're left dealing with your Stripe account to try and deal with folks who are contesting these charges. And a lot of folks lose their Stripe accounts and lose the ability to take credit card payments early on, because this is too high risk. And I realized that I didn't want to deal with customer service. I just wanted to do my work and then walk away and not have to deal with people in the physical products world who wanted to make things less enjoyable. And so far, I don't have customers for the most part, and I don't have clients, and I just do my work when I want. And then when I leave, I don't have to worry about them. And that's how it plays out. Renat says, John just does the same as many of us on a higher scale, and he is less scared of failures because he can afford it. And that is absolutely true. So when you achieve a certain income level, it's not as big of a risk. He says, oh, I'm going to take $10,000 and invest it into something. And for some people, that is all the money they have in the world. They can't afford to do that. They wouldn't do that. It would be a bad idea to do that. But he is able to do that simply because of the work that he has done thus far. So I agree. Jesse says he's hoping to hit 100,000 page views before the end of the year. And you've got October, November, December, 3 more months. Let's see if you can get there. Laura says, I don't see any apply button. So that's the thing. And that's what is hard about it. Basically, you are in their system now if you've gotten to the point of where you are, but there wasn't ever an official, like your application is finished button. And that is one of the problems and one of the complaints that people bring up a lot in the Ezoic setup process. And that's one of the things that they are working literally right now to go through. And I don't know if I should talk about this, if I was authorized to talk about it, but I did get to take a look at their new sort of setup. And that actually, that point right there is just a confirmation of like, you're all done. Like some things, like some pop-up box that says you're all done would be really helpful. I'm going to make that note. You're all done box. All right. Thank you, Laura, for that feedback. And I'm going to mention it to the Ezoic people the next time I talk to them. Yep, that's what I would do, is just email support and ask, like, how am I? So Chris says, yeah, I hit it, meaning he hit the 5,000 a month mark last month, and that's awesome. I'm going to pat myself on the back for you, Chris, because I can't pat you. Mr. Cross-Stitch, hey, it's good to catch up with you. It's been a couple weeks since we talked, and so just feel free while you're here, and anyone else who is here, to chat about what you're working on the last couple weeks. I have not personally done any Kickstarter type ventures, mostly because I've not come up with any ideas worthy of a Kickstarter. I did a great podcast interview with a guy named Philip Hughes that's going to come out, I think, eventually, whenever I can get to it. But we talked about coming up with ideas, and he's one of those guys that just sees problems everywhere and then goes to work to create solutions for them. And it's really hard for me to come up with both the problems and the solutions. And that's one of the things we talked about potentially doing a live stream on, is just sort of going through the process of looking at a niche or looking at a topic or a subject or an interest, and then brainstorming the problems that that particular individual or that particular industry would experience, and then start talking about solutions and what sort of products either exist to be recommended for that solution or that could be created. So I just think it's really interesting. And it's something that's a skill that I'm not that great at, and I would like to improve. Yeah, I have no good ideas. So that's why it's reasonable that I haven't done Kickstarter. He says it's a great way to future-proof new projects, as you can guarantee covering your costs before you produce a thing. Yeah, I would have a hard time doing Kickstarter without knowing for sure that I could deliver on the promise, because I have a hard enough time taking money from people now. And so it would be hard for me to ask for money if I didn't have a really clear vision of what I was doing, and if I didn't actually have something in the works, because otherwise it just wouldn't feel right. It says you do need a fan base behind you to hit the goal. I do agree that folks that already have a fan base are more likely to be successful with Kickstarter. I would just want to have some sort of really concrete product in mind, either already in progress or a specific need for that money. It says here exactly is what I'm going to do with this money if I received it. But yeah, I'm not there at a point where I'm creating products of my own right now. So yeah, no Kickstarter for me. Well, folks, things are pretty quiet in the chat. I've got plenty of work to do. If folks are around and have questions, or if there's anything else I can do to be useful or helpful, I will hang around for a couple of minutes. But otherwise, I've got content to write, content to record, and I got stuff to do. And so folks are jumping off. I see that people are starting to head out. That's totally cool. Get some work done and then come back and see me next week and let me know how things are going. We're basically almost to October. So we are basically almost to the end of this 2020. Cross Stitch says, I'm glad to have been in the right place at the right time to say hi for reals. Well, we're here at 10 a.m. Pacific time every week. Although I can't always promise that the live stream replay will be up, because I can't always control what happens to it after we finish. All right, everybody. It's been a lot of fun. It's been great to catch up with you folks. And then I will see you or talk to you or hear from you next week. Cheers.